section for questions for Desmond Oliver. We'll go Grant, Rob, Mike Wilson.
Des, I don't think you guys have any transition points or fast break points over the last 2 games. What do you guys have to do to be better there, more effective?
Well, we got to run more. That's certainly been something that we've been talking about. I know personally, every time I've done a scout, I've talked about it. I know Coach English has talked about it, and Coach Schwartz and Coach Barnes, is that we've urged our guys to run more, pass ahead, and there's no reason why, from game to game, we shouldn't be able to go get 15 to 20 points in transition. We're talking about the difference of, 3 to 4 baskets more per half in order to do that. So I think that's certainly an emphasis. It's something we got to work on and get better at. And probably start today in practice by making sure our guys get the message, because now instead of averaging, 65 points a game, you add 15 more points to it. We're around 80 points a game. And if we're in the 80s, no one's going to beat us. So we're losing close games a lot of times because our offense is stalled. And I think that's the difference between us, really having a chance to be a special team, as opposed to just being a good team.
Coach, just what was your biggest takeaway from watching the film against Ole Miss? I would imagine maybe the turnovers stood out the most.
Yeah, my biggest takeaway, and I plan on sitting down after this Zoom and spending time with some of our guys individually, especially our guards, was I was very surprised that at this level that our guards, from a mental standpoint, allowed an opposing team to take their aggressiveness away and not see the court. It's like in football when a quarterback's being blitzed, by the defense, that there's guys wide open that can make plays. And because it's happening so fast and you're on your heels and you put this pressure on yourselves, that simple plays aren't so simple. Because watching a video, that 1-3-1 was not as tough as it seemed. Probably, for those guys, watching it on video, we had guys diagonal skip pass, lob. Epons is on the weak side against a 6'1" guard who can't jump high enough to touch his chest, less more play above the rim, and our guards didn't throw it. And then sometimes the play doesn't work. You just got to put your head down and drive a gap and get by people off the dribble and go make a play at this level. So that's what surprised me the most was our inability mentally to just be aggressive and attack. And now, Keon Johnson, I thought got going late in the game and just put his head down and made plays. We need more guys against gimmick defenses like that to just go make a play at this level.
Des, also on the transition offense, what are the things that make a transition offense effective that you guys are missing? Is it bigs running, guards rebounding well? I mean, what are the things that you guys need to see for that to improve?
Well, first and foremost, in order to run effectively, we have to continue getting stops and first-time rebounds. And for the most part, we've been doing that against most of our opponents. And then the next part of it is running. It's our first big down. We call it the pipe. He's got to run the pipe. And then our wings have to run. And then the guard that gets to rebound either has to advance it off the pass, or if the defense is matching up and guarding those guys, advance it off the dribble with the intent to score. The intent can't be to run the court hard, run it fast, and then go run a play. I think right now we look like a team that wants to go run a play every time. And I know for a fact that's not what Coach Barnes wants. Certainly we're disciplined enough to be a team that executes at a high level, but he wants to go out there and get easy baskets. And it just comes down really to our guys mentally buying into that, being more comfortable doing it, and being more aggressive at making those plays happen.
Rob?
Coach, you mentioned the rebounding. How big of a concern is that? You crush Kansas on the boards, but that's the only game in the last 4 where you've won that battle. What's up with that discrepancy? How can you be so good on Saturday against a big Kansas team and then have the drop off like you did the other night?
I think a lot of it comes down to our personnel. Against Kansas, for the most part, John Fogelson was really good in that game. So our front line wasn't compromised by going small. John played, I think, close to 30 minutes. E played pretty good minutes. And so when John and Eve are in the game, and now we have Josiah and our big guards, Keon and Jaden in the game, even Santi and VJ in the game, we have enough size on the perimeter and a normal front line to be a pretty challenging opponent on the glass. When we go small ball, the reality is our best players, our best offensive players might, end up being our guards. Playing small ball may help us on offense, but our guards aren't the same physical, athletic rebounders that maybe Fulkerson and E. Pons are, especially on the defensive glass. So I think that's the discrepancy is, when our offense is failing and we're scrambling, trying to put, our 5 best, most skilled guys in the game, maybe it helps our offense, but we haven't really figured out how to get those guys to rebound, at a high level.
Ben McKee.
Coach, Josiah had 2 polar opposite halves the other night, and it seemed to be because of just a difference in aggressiveness. Is that what you all saw from him, and how often is that a conversation with him to continue being aggressive?
It's funny. Certainly Josiah's a good player. He's a really good player, really good defender, got great size. He'll play in the NBA one day and be a good role player in the NBA for sure. And however, our biggest challenge with Josiah has been, and coach has been on him every day, is trying to ignite that fire to score because he can. He's a tremendous three-point shooter. He's got a good pull-up game when he uses it. He can get to the glass and go rebound offensively. It's trying to allow him to understand that that's his role on our team, is to take and make those open shots and, not turn down a shot with 17 on the shot clock or whatever, 13 on the shot clock. He turns down an open, skip 3 to pass it one more time. And now we're shooting the ball with 2 seconds left, and that shot's contested versus taking an open shot. So really it's a mindset. I think he's a player his entire life that's been a pass first, assist-oriented, ball handling point guard in high school. And for us, he's kind of playing off the ball more, and we're asking him to do something he really hadn't done early in his career, but he's good at it. So we're still trying to figure out our roles. Like, sometimes when you have talent and we kind of get anointed in the preseason as this great team, we got good players. We have a really good staff, I think, that's going to coach our guys at a high level. But great teams are great teams because they play together. They've developed. They've earned that. We had a solid group that returned from last year. We have 2 really big-time freshmen that came in with some hype. We had a really good transfer that came in with some hype. And all of a sudden, we were supposed to be this great team day one, but we're working at that. Like, it's a work in progress. And I still think we're really good. We're really good, can be anybody in the country, but we've proven that if we're not locked in, as one and playing the right way, we can lose to anybody in the country as well.
Back to Rob.
Coach, you talked about Keon kind of getting it going late. And, that last 3 or 4 minutes when it was really crunch time, it looked like he was maybe, the only guy who wasn't, who didn't back down for the moment. How encouraging was that? And how, going forward, how much do you think you guys maybe pivot and play through him and Jaden more in those kind of situations?
Well, certainly if we can get our transition game going and really get our guys to buy into playing harder and playing faster and getting off the ball by passing it ahead and balling ahead, it's going to help those two. Keon is maybe the most athletic guard in the country, certainly one of the top, I'm going to say 4 or 5 best athletes in the country. So him attacking the rim is always going to be a good thing for Tennessee. The reality is that zone, that 1-3-1 zone, that 2-3 zone, slowed us down some, made our guys overthink it. And so he was the only guy that had enough confidence, it seemed, and I'm using the word confidence, to go 1 against 2 and be shifty off the dribble and go create and attack the goal. We clearly have enough guys who can do it. Santi can get it done at a high level. VJ Bailey can get it done. Josiah, Springer. But it was a matter of doing it. And again, young group of guys, sophomore in Santiago that's playing his first full season. Jaden Springer's a freshman. It's a learning process with a team that has played together for the first time this year. And I think we're going to start the peak here really soon. But certainly it starts with getting these guys prepared to run, be more aggressive on offense, take the shots that we get, that defenses are given to us, and really be aggressive.
Gustavo.
You guys going to face Kentucky on Saturday, a team last year you guys beat on the road. How are you guys preparing to face a Kentucky team that is probably not having their best season, but still a very, very good team?
Well, Kentucky's Kentucky. Despite their record, they still probably have the most talented roster in the SEC, certainly 1 and 2. I'm going to say them in Florida. They're still Kentucky. No one's going in there thinking because their record or whatever that they're not a team that can go out there and blow you out and beat you pretty badly. I like the matchup because the reality is it's more of a normal matchup for us in the sense of we're not playing against a small ball team. I think a lot of teams that we played against this year, or several teams, end up playing 4 guards, and now you're put in a position where do you play your normal lineup and play Folke and Eve because they're guarding a smaller guy, or go small ball. Kentucky historically has always had 2 frontline guys that have great size. So I think it'll be a typical Tennessee, Kentucky slugfest with, 2 big front lines going at it. And really, I'm looking for John Fulkerson, who's our veteran leader. John, the last 10, 12 games of the season last year in the SEC, in my opinion, was one of the top 2 or 3 best players in the conference. And sometimes when you come back the following year, and again, everyone's putting you in the Grant Williams category, you're on the Wooden's list, you're on the All-American preseason list, Player of the Year list in the conference, and you go from being the 3rd option, maybe, or 4th option, to being the number 1 option. Mentally, it takes its toll when your team is, sputters, struggles some, and when your numbers don't indicate that you're that guy. We're trying to get John to understand that being that guy doesn't constitute putting up big numbers. It just means you're the same hard-playing, blue-collar, athletic, skilled Folke that we've always known, and just be aggressive. I do feel like pressure, a lot of what you're seeing with these young people struggling and having bad moments against press and pressure is because of pressure. It's the pressure to live up to being the best team in school history. And we're not. We haven't earned that. We haven't proven that. So we're trying to get these guys to be hungry like our team was in 2017-18, was picked 13th in the conference. They had a chip on their shoulder. We're trying to build that chip despite being nationally ranked. And I think we will.
Rob?
Coach, just speaking of Kentucky, what jumps out about you when you scout them? What do what are a couple of things that you feel like are their strengths that concern you when you prepare your game plan?
Well, so it's not my scouts. I haven't watched a ton of them, but I watched that game last night. The thing that jumps out to me is that they're desperate. Like Tennessee right now, they're desperate for a win. So we're going to get the best version of Kentucky. And secondly, is that they're talented. They've got guys that are going to play in the NBA who are just young right now, trying to figure their way out in terms of how to play and how to win games. But they're dangerous. They got great size. If and when they put it all together, they're going to be very tough to beat for a lot of people. It's our job on Saturday, to go in there and try to keep the pressure on and get better and find a way to win that basketball game.
All right, waiting on more questions.
Coach, Olivier played 8 minutes in the first half the other night. What did he? And I don't think he played the second half. What was the deal with that one?
Well, we felt like, and sometimes it's just a feel with players, when I think Rodriguez had the run out dunk and he dunked on Olivier in transition, his body language, we just felt like he didn't respond the way that we wanted to see him respond. And so now in the second half, we knew the game might come down to a 1-possession game. And we're saying, again, do you rely on your young guys? And our young guys were in the backcourt and kind of struggling a little bit, or give a guy like EJ and Asiki a chance, who's a veteran, who's played in big games, put up big numbers in big games. Give your veteran a chance to just bring some physical toughness, some rebounding. Again, we're getting beat on the glass, by a bunch. And so, EJ is by far the best and most consistent rebounder we have on our basketball team day in and day out in practice. He's lost some playing time because of his offense. He's missed layups that he's got to make at this level, whereas Olivier makes those layups. But at that point, it came down to rebounding, that veteran post-player presence that we had to get. and just trying to search for answers.
All right, one last call for questions. All right, Coach, thank you very much.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks, Tom.